Hello and welcome back to Triclaw Gaming, and welcome to Triclaw Gaming's first Tea with Triclaw discussion/chat section. You've got all three of us here, so that's me, Fletcher.
Me, Vice.
And me too, I'm Dean.
And like I said, the purpose of this will be the first one. We're going to do one every single month. And the purpose of this is we're just going to sit down as a three and chat about anything gaming related. You can give us questions or things you'd like us to talk about in the comments tab down below. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, please like, comment and subscribe. It really does help. And we're still trying to grow the channel, so we're trying to hope to get to 200 subscribers before Christmas. So if you are new here, please do consider subscribing. I'm going to get the ball rolling and ask just an open question. What have we all been playing recently? So starting with you, Vice.
I have been playing recently a little bit of Phasmophobia.
What?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
Then why didn't you play it for Halloween?
I was busy.
Are you telling me that I put myself at risk of alien impregnation for nothing?
Perhaps. No, I've been playing a little bit of it. I've not gotten far. I'd say I'm not far enough to get to the really scary stuff. I've been doing some of the easier stuff because I'm still quite low level in it. And I usually do the really simple stuff as well because I play with a couple of others. So I'm usually the guy who has like the temperature, like, yep, it's pretty cold, and everyone's like, yeah, we already know that, we can see each other's breaths. And I'm like, I'm being useful.
Oh, so you're like the inverse of what I do in Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise, which is I go in, research the hell out of a monster, and then get on it like, okay, so this thing's weak to this, take off that weapon, it's useless, add this weapon, put this enchantment on this, and take this armor.
Basically, I think I'm actually there because I'm probably the bait.
I mean, that makes sense.
You're basically like the bard in any D&D team.
No, the bard's
Just
actually
there.
useful.
Just there to look pretty.
He's the wizard.
Unless an abjuration wizard, which is also too powerful.
No comment?
I have tried it in VR as well, and it is quite spooky. I didn't find. I think my particular VR, it was a bit awkward to control, but that's because I've got one of the older models. But I did think it was quite spooky. I only played like a couple of games because I admit I didn't want to get to the really scary stuff in VR. But that was quite an experience.
Dane, what have you been playing?
I've been having a ruckus board of things. I've been playing Hollow Knight. I recorded that last night. So for anyone who watched the stream, this is coming out the day after the stream, so I recorded that yesterday. In my spare time, I've been playing Genshin Impact, Guild Wars 2, Magic the Gathering Arena. I feel like there's another one there I'm missing.
Monster Hunter Rise.
Monster Hunter Rise, Pokemon Shield.
Slow down.
Monster Hunter World.
You've just been playing everything, basically.
I play a lot of games. I don't have a job.
You jump around from game to game.
I get bored easily.
You can...
I'm also nearly out of tea, so this is sacrilege to the name of the channel.
Oh, right, yes. We do all actually have cups of tea, so you're literally having tea with Triclaw.
We started the recording and I'd already gone through half a cup, so...
You may be having tea with Triclaw if you're drinking tea right now. If you are, great job. If you're not, what are you doing?
Yeah, if you're drinking
Hi,
coffee...
Sadie, we know it's you. You're drinking with us.
If you're daring to drink coffee with Triclaw, then that's just wrong.
Oh, so you're talking to
Go
Kid
and
Crazy.
get tea.
I feel like I'm just calling people out right now.
You are calling people out. Don't do that. So what have I been playing recently? Jurassic World Evolution, as everyone knows, because they've been watching streams.
Subnautica Sub-Zero.
Subnautica Below Zero.
Oh.
Subnautica Sub-Zero
Sounds better.
sounds better,
Yeah.
I think.
You know, because it's Subnautica,
Yeah.
Sub-Zero.
I think I'm about halfway through Subnautica Below Zero.
Hey, I know something that you played recently.
I don't think it's as good as the original.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yes.
You've been playing Alien Isolation.
And yes, I was playing Alien Isolation yesterday, much to everyone's enjoyment. I still may continue it on the channel. If you want me to, just tell me in the comments down below, or watch the Alien Isolation stream.
If you want to see Fletcher scream, it's 2 hours 32 minutes.
2 hours 32 minutes is the best jump scare that I got yesterday, for sure.
We will have the link in the description, alright?
We may have to, yes. But let's us come up with a more interesting question for discussion. Vice, I believe you had some.
I've got a couple of questions. How about this one then? Might be a bit of a rack your brain a little bit. A game that you've played and enjoyed, but you acknowledge that it's pretty bad in some way.
I think I have a very easy answer to this. The entire Pokemon franchise.
Oh, there we go. The whole audience is triggered. Well done. That's all of us now.
I mean, guys, come on, hear me out. They're good games. I enjoy them. They're fun to an extent, but from a game design point of view, they're really bad.
I kind of have to agree with you there. There's a lot of flaws they have that they seem to get skipped over because it's Pokemon, I say with air quotation.
For example, Sword and Shield, you have most of the Pokédexes slashed out unless you get the expansions. We have no idea what's happening with Legends of Arceus or with Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. They could do the exact same thing again. And to do anything, you now need to pay a subscription service to Nintendo. You also, at the same time, need to... Oh, what was the other thing? Pokemon Bank, yeah. You have to pay a subscription to that too.
Can I just say,
Yes.
for the audience's benefit, I'm the only one in the room that doesn't like Pokemon and doesn't play a Pokemon game, and the two people in the room that like Pokemon and play Pokemon games have just now basically both said, the games are bad.
No. We said the games are fun, but
Yeah,
they have
we
glaring
enjoy it.
flaws. I could say the exact same about Jurassic World.
Yes, you could, but
I'm sorry for you hearing
As-
Fletcher choke on his tea.
as everyone knows, and I already did it in great detail, my detest for the original Jurassic World and all the problems it has. So what problems, I mean, Pokemon Sword and Shield's let's try and get more money out of everyone issues aside, are there any
You could have said Pokemon, let's go get more money.
Are there any general flaws that all the games have?
The game-specific species. That's a thing that only Pokemon can get away with nowadays. If Monster Hunter went and released 2 separate games, that then was like, oh yes, I can get this in this game and this in this game, but I can't do this in this game and this in this game. It's game version differences, and then they have a habit of then releasing a definitive edition. For example, Pokemon Diamond, Pokemon Pearl, Pokemon Platinum being the definitive edition. They tend to put more into the definitive edition, so it's usually better to wait a year or two after things come out.
That's quite true. That's like releasing JWE and then releasing a different version of it with different dinosaurs that you can't get in both games.
I believe that's called expansions.
I was about to say, I believe that Jurassic World Evolution's 2 logo would just ping up on the screen at that particular point, because that's literally what Jurassic World Evolution 2 is.
But I meant like even like there were like no ability to get the expansion, just 2 separate games. But you have to have both if you want to like move them over or something.
Yeah. We're lucky. Vice is Pokemon Sword, I Pokemon Shield.
True.
So was that the case? Because obviously I remember back in the day, because I'm the oldest,
I remember it too.
it was red and blue, wasn't it?
Red and blue, yeah.
So what was the difference between red and blue?
I believe there was some Pokemon you couldn't get in Pokemon Red, which you got in Pokemon Blue.
For example, Growlithe and Vulpix.
Thank you. I was trying to remember what it is in those gens.
There's a few others. I think there's like 10 in each one or so. That's different, but it might be more.
Hey, Fletcher, here's some research for you.
That's really
Pull this up on screen while we're talking about this, please.
it's really shady behavior,
Oh, it is.
frankly,
And that's one of the glaring issues the game has.
and they're still doing it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, in Vice's case, he can get the Galarian Farfetch'd, which only is a Pokemon Sword exclusive, which evolves into Surfetch'd. However, I think he also gets Yamask and Brunerigus, but there's some Pokemon that I have exclusive to my game, and some evolution lines are very dependent on your game as well. Applin, in his game, turns into Frapple, while I get Appleton. Both are the exact same typing. His is more attack-oriented, mine's defense-oriented.
So basically what we're saying here is if you like Pokemon games, buy only the definitive ones that come out after the double
Well, here's the
releases.
issue. They haven't done it for the last 3 gens.
That's very
Pokemon,
true.
Pokemon X and Y never got Pokemon Z.
Mm.
Pokemon Sun and Moon never got Pokemon Eclipse.
Instead, they went with sequels, which was basically remakes of the games that they actually ended up taking a few bits out that I quite liked.
But they also added a lot more in.
True.
You can now have the whole I can travel through Ultra Space theme. And Pokemon Sword and Shield hasn't got a definitive edition either. And I don't think they're releasing a definitive edition for Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond either.
However, there has been rumours showing that it looks like they're taking parts from Platinum and putting it into both games.
Yes, but they're still gonna... I know, Nintendo. They're going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
Nintendo are... what?
You're not allowed to say that on YouTube.
They will,
Nintendo, please don't sue us.
There will certainly be like differences that make you need to buy both. But I think back when Red and Blue came out, it wasn't really...
It was better.
Yeah, it wasn't really thought out much. Like, not many people thought about this sort of thing, and it was advertised as like you can play with your friends. If they get this thing, then it's even better because you got one, they got the other. But as time's gone on, this way of making games has kind of been
diluted.
Yeah, and it's not as good as it used to be. I will admit, Black and White did something interesting where they actually brought forth in one game a whole city and a whole forest in the other, which made the differences a bit more interesting.
Yes, half of the Unova region was different because of... Yeah, it's an old enough game that I could say this now. The final gym leader changed, as well as the city design, and then I think there was 2 other cities whose design completely depended on what game you had.
Yeah, I think that was I think Black and White was one of my favourite Pokemon games.
What was it? White was old ideals, and Black was new ideas.
I can't quite recall that much, I'm afraid.
I knew one of them was a futuristic city and one was an ancient city. I think Iris was the champion of the last person of White. I can't remember. Anyway, let's close this Pandora's box. Fletcher!
No, yeah, you can raise the next question.
No,
discussion
you need to answer Vice's.
Oh, the game that I think is...
Yeah, the game that you've been playing and you enjoy, but you know it's terrible.
See, I suppose the easiest one would be Jurassic World Evolution, but I don't think Jurassic World Evolution is terrible. I don't. Dane is giving me funny faces. I don't think it's terrible. I just think, like a lot of modern day games, it has suffered from an over-rushed development cycle and various companies like Universal getting involved and causing more trouble than they're worth. All I can say is that generally if a game is terrible, I don't play it. I will, however, admit to liking a number of games that are boring as, and I think one of those is Banished. Banished is a medieval town building simulator game. Now, it is brilliantly... It's a great time sink. You just sit there for hours building your little city, watching your harvests come in, watching them kill cattle and sheeps, watching everything work and your little minions go around. It is, however, monumentally dull. There's no combat, the disasters are very few and far between. So there isn't much to do bar just build the city. And because it has that medieval styling to it, everything's quite simple. So it's boring, and a lot of people probably don't get very far with it. They spend maybe 2 or 3 hours and then that's it.
Admittedly, you said Banished, and I was like, which one?
So yes, it's boring, but I like it. It's just it's a very relaxed, chilled sort of time sink, in a way. And you don't have to worry about an Indominus Rex breaking out and running all over your guests.
Or stopping the entire world from being taken over by an evil organisation and then becoming the champion of said region whenever you're only 12 years old.
All that, yes. I thought you were talking about EA for a moment there.
Oh no, they already rule the world. I'm sorry. Sorry, what's the script? EA have done nothing wrong. They are completely forthright and upright as a company standards and do not monopolize microtransactions.
Have they sent the money yet?
I just got a ting there now.
See,
we are not sponsored by EA.
I have a particular game that comes to mind when I think of... I love it, but it's so bad. And that's an old MMORPG called Maplestory.
Oh lord. Maplestory.
Is this like Stardew Valley?
No.
It's really not.
It's not good for a start.
It wasn't bad.
It's a 2D sort of like hack and slash, like MMO, very chibi anime style, and it's very fun. It's got lovely music. It's not only is it sort of, I don't want to say dying, because it has been like over 10 years it's been out, maybe like 15 now. It has a very greedy scheme to it. If you want to play the non-server where you get tons more EXP and money but you can't trade or really do much social stuff, you're going to have to start buying things like EXP boosters and whatnot, because unless you spend like hours upon hours every day, you're not even going to level up once. And there's like 200 levels for one class.
Vice introduced me to this game and invited me to it. I think I lasted half an hour.
It is not great. It's quite a bit of a mess now as well, where there's so much in it and they throw it all at you at once, and you're just like, what am I doing? But I keep wanting to go back to it, and I think it's nostalgia glasses or nostalgia goggles, whatever they call it.
Nostalgia goggles.
Yeah.
Rose-tinted glasses, I believe, is what you got mixed between.
Rose-tinted nostalgia goggle glasses. Yeah, so what other questions do we have around the table?
Dane had one earlier on,
yes,
which I thought was very interesting.
Yes, it's come to that time of year, folks, where everything is starting to become merry and bright, and things are getting older, and us as well.
Merry and bright. Good God, it's revolting.
Yeah, it's called Christmas. And that got me thinking, because I heard there was a lot of hate for one of the games I play. It's events and anniversaries. I know Genshin Impact does this a lot, and I also know Guild Wars 2 does it a lot. In fact, they've just finished their Halloween event.
Do you know what game also did it a lot?
Maplestory?
Maplestory.
Yep.
So generally, what do we think of events?
What do we think of events and anniversaries?
So I'm going to start this off that War Thunder's events and anniversaries have been utter crap. Utter appalling. So there's a number of problems. I haven't even started playing War Thunder on the channel yet, because it's going to be one of those games that will probably get the channel taken down. I'll be that furious.
Let's put it this way. I think half the commentary would have to be cut.
Yes. Or bleeped out at least.
Sorry, I'm being generous with half, about 75%.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So, War Thunder's events have the problem that they used to be just straight up daily tasks that you'd have to do. And then they switched it to this, like, you must do a specific task, to earn a specific tech item, material, bullcrap, whatever they want to put it as. And then you have to earn a certain number of those and turn those into something. And then you have to turn those things into a blueprint for the free vehicle that they're giving to you. Basically, they fractally pad the grind, which means you have to spend stupid amounts of time grinding it. And what makes it worse is you can only get the free vehicles and stuff they do in these events and anniversaries if you have a rank 3 vehicle or higher. And rank 3, for a lot of nations, is quite time consuming to get to, because you can't do it with just the one.
Didn't it take me 3 weeks to get a tier 3 vehicle?
Yeah, but you can't do it with just one, because you can't like get one tier 3 vehicle and then it qualifies.
You need to get 3 at least, don't you?
You have to have as many as possible, because say you're doing an event task where you have to get a set number of kills, they all have to be in rank 3 vehicles. You can't do one rank 3 and then the other kills you get in your other vehicles will count. No, it's just rank 3 alone. So that cuts off part of the player base from earning free vehicles. And what's really funny is the free vehicles they tend to give away are low tier vehicles that people don't want, really, if they've already got above tier 3. Because it's the low tier vehicles that the low tier players will want to help with their grind up the tree, but they can't earn them because they can't play in tier 3s yet.
So what you're... Oh, go on, Vice.
Well, I was just going to bring up a counterpoint. One thing I imagine that could be a reason for that is because I feel a lot of people would complain if they found out they just missed on an event-specific vehicle that is better than the other ones to a degree due to having been a limited time event.
Well, yeah, but this brings up the other problem. that the vehicles they give out for free will be really, and World of Tanks has this problem as well, will be really overpowered for about 2 or 3 months, and then they will nerf them to make them useless and rubbish.
So, Vice, Fletcher brought up a point which I know you also have an issue with. The requirement for his was you need a tier 3 vehicle. I know you play Genshin Impact.
Yes, I was thinking this as he was talking about it.
I have a counterpoint for you, but you please say your thing first.
Well, my problem is, at least in Genshin Impact, is that when particular events come along, it requires you to have gotten to the latest part of the story to do them. And if you're a new player, or you're just coming in, or you don't have much time to play, you're going to see these events which give limited time rewards and go, oh, I want to do that, and then find out that you can't do it because you're not that far into the game. And if the game goes on and on and on and on, it's almost like bringing out a game, having an event for it, and saying, to do the event, you need to beat the game first, because it's end-game content or something of the sort.
We have talked about this before, so you charge us as guilty, and I have come up as a defense for Genshin Impact, particularly. For things like War Thunder, it's you click on a thing and you go into the mission and do that. For things like mobile games like Dragalia Lost or Never New Mobile Game Please.
Final Fantasy Dissidia Opera Omnia.
That's a whole other kettle of fish, isn't it?
Or Final Fantasy Brave Exodus, let's say that one. You go into a separate area and you just click on a button to go into what the event would be. Genshin Impact unfortunately has the downside of being an open world game. Yes, you can get to some areas by being able to go to them physically. You can go pretty much anywhere at level 1, except Inazuma. But then they also need to release content for the older players who have gotten farther ahead. It's like expecting every event to be in Mondstadt. We can't really ask a game company to force all their events in one area whenever they have an entire world map and open view area that they've designed meticulously for us to explore.
That is true, that is a good point. It would be boring if all the events took place in the starting city.
Yeah, but it would. Star Trek Online used to do a Halloween event, and it was the same one every single year, and it would give you the same reward every single year. They never changed it. In the 3 or so years I played Star Trek Online and actually did play it properly and not just use it for RP purposes, the mission didn't change ever. And it was not a particularly good story either. But Star Trek Online's terrible story is another matter for another day.
I think Genshin Impact has only repeated some of their events once or twice.
They're still relatively new in the grand scheme of things.
They're only a year old. In fact, they had their anniversary recently. And yes, that was a segue.
Let us know in the comments if you've played Genshin, or if you want to see Dane play Genshin as well, because it is one game he plays heavily. So
thank you for interrupting me. But that was a segue to talk about Genshin Impact's anniversary, which everyone hated. Genshin Impact anniversary was what most people consider the biggest letdown in gaming history. Because normally for events like that, they give lots and lots of pools and lots of stuff. Genshin Impact give you 10, and they had an event too, which give you some premium currency, basically. And then you had the chance of getting another paid item. I was one of the lucky people who got said item. People hate me already. Hi, Omar! However, I think the thing that people forget about is that Genshin Impact did do something that most other games do not do. They planned 2 concerts.
Oh, these were these live concerts that they did on YouTube, right?
Well, there was one that was live. They had another one which was in person in Shanghai. And they have also released a box which has the music from it and some other gif and gaff. And all this stuff is live for everyone to have on YouTube and all. In fact, you could look up, after the video please, Genshin Impact live concert, and it will bring up the one I watched, which I loved. And I don't know when the Shanghai one is, but it should be before April next year, because that's whenever the gift boxes come out. It's something that people don't usually do after their first anniversary.
I think the problem, because I wasn't too upset by it, but I think it was because I wasn't expecting a lot. But I think it was because there's a lot of gacha games, a lot of games where you try and make summons and try to get particular characters or weapons or whatnot. And a lot of people have come to get expectations from those games.
Yeah.
For example, Dragalia Lost. The free 10 pulls are still going right now, and the anniversary was like last month.
Yeah, and they have the Gala banner, which is actually out now too.
Yeah, I think there was a total of 300 or 480 free summons they give. But
Yeah.
I don't know how they make money with how much they give out. But I think some people were
It's
expecting... True, but I mean, the amount of free stuff they give. But I think people had expectations, and when Genshin didn't give those expectations out, I think that's what people were upset by.
It's also because of their old games as well.
Oh yes, like Honkai Impact 3rd.
Yes.
What?
Honkai Impact 3rd was another game made by the same people who... Mihoyo?
Mihoyo, yeah.
Mihoyo. Teku Taku Saved the World.
I could get into the entire chronology of the whole thing, where it starts off with Gun Girl's Kawaii Zombie.
It's the most anime-sounding title I've heard.
Now, there is also another game which is based on anime. It's Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Yes! Oh, sorry. Was that the name of the...
That's the name of the anime. And it's a lot better than it sounds. But they have a mobile game, which is not really well known actually, called Memoria Freeze. Memoria Freeze, for people who didn't hear that properly. Now, for their anniversary, they've just given out 66 pulls with at least 6 guaranteed free stars, and another 11 pulls with a guaranteed 4-star. That's 77 pulls with guaranteed gacha rates, and that's what people compare it to. But people forget that Genshin Impact offers more than what they do. They offer an entire world which they continuously build. You can't go out into these mobile games and go, I want to go to this area, and you get to live in that area.
Let's be fair, open world games have their own problems.
They do.
Looking at no one in particular. Fallout 76!
That was an MMO though.
But it was also open world.
I can easily give you a counterpoint to that. Zelda Breath of the Wild.
See, I still think I might want to try Zelda Breath of the Wild. But then I've never played a Zelda game.
It's very, very different. It's not like a traditional Zelda game. I think, I might be getting this wrong, but I think it is called Zelda Breath of the Wild, not The Legend of Zelda.
Yes, it is.
Because The Legend of Zelda is its own thing where you go through a much more structured story, whereas Zelda Breath of the Wild is more like a different take on things. But I wanted to bring it back to the the events and the no, that's not at all. The events and the
anniversaries.
And your themes like Christmas and Halloween and all that. Because I'm a massive fan of games that do that. Actually, I love that stuff, and that does stem from Maplestory. And that is what I'm going to talk about. Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 2.
You said, Fletcher, that Star Trek Online always did the exact same Halloween event.
They did, yeah.
Guild Wars 2 kind of does as well, actually, that the past few years, or 5 or 6 years, it's just kind of been the same thing. But it kind of works.
And they expand.
Have they done more this year?
For instance, there is the Super Adventure Box, which has been gradually getting more levels as you go on.
Well...
Has meant to be, but this year it's been bad.
Well, for the past 5 years, there's not been anything. Well, actually,
World
recently,
3 was new.
World 3 had...
World 3 was released, I think, 3 years ago. But that's okay, because we've had 2 years of not being able to see people.
Hang on, you talking about the Rona?
Yeah. Yeah, 2 years have kind of crippled the gaming empire.
Are you sure there's a World 3?
Yeah, it's where you do bleep, 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 bleep.
Cloud.
That's World 2.
No.
There is no World 3 yet.
I thought there was a World 3. I may be mistaken, never mind.
Confused day noises.
They have recently, as in last year, shown that there has been work made towards it. They have stated before they weren't doing anything due to figuring other stuff out, but they are putting stuff towards it.
Well, they do have an entire new expansion to
due
give.
to figuring stuff out. That just makes it sound like they were trying to decide whether to come out the closet.
No. They do have an entire expansion coming out next year, at the start of the year, actually. Which I need to play. My friends want to get it and I want to get it too.
I just love the fact that it's like, oh, what new weapons are they going to give the classes? And the warrior, the one who usually brandishes the sword is like, I got gun.
Welcome to Gun Gear Online.
I have a gun.
I mean, you're saying that. I'm the Revenant. I could have a short bow, but I don't. I just go shield.
Again, getting away from the subject.
I'm sorry.
Getting away from the subject at hand of anniversary events. Let us know in the comments if you've ever done an anniversary or a holiday event for a particular game and whether you enjoyed it or not.
And for anyone currently suffering through the Genshin Impact event, I feel your pain.
Also,
except I have 5 stars, so
and Dane likes people being in pain, as we found out on the Alien Isolation stream.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Feel free to comment which sort of seasonal events you prefer. Do you prefer Halloween? Do you prefer Easter? Do you prefer Christmas? What sort of events do you prefer in games?
Have you noticed that they're all the Christian holidays? We don't ever have an event for like
actually
Hanukkah
Eastern. Well, it's because it's the world's most.
Or Diwali.
It's because it's how to put this? It is basically the highest religion in the place where the companies are.
Yeah, the most prolific, I think, is the term we want to use.
Guy Fawkes Day.
Oh, November the 5th.
Maplestory has that.
Really?
Yes,
Yep,
it
a
does.
massive man with the Guy Fawkes face appears and you have to fight him with other people.
Doesn't Genshin Impact also have Firework Night?
Oh, they do?
Not Genshin Impact. Oh, they did. They celebrated Chinese New Year as well. But I meant to say Guild Wars 2. Don't they have Fireworks Night? Or Bonfire Night?
I think they also have Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, they do. They do. It's the New Year Moon event.
For our non-British viewers, November the 5th is called Fireworks Night over here, where we celebrate.
Called Guy Fawkes Day.
We celebrate Guy Fawkes, who was a.
We don't celebrate him.
Well, this is the odd thing. We celebrate the fact that he failed to blow up the Houses of Parliament by burning things and causing explosions.
And for the reference, no, he is not Irish.
No, he was British. He just he was a revolutionary.
Vive la Revolution.
I suppose modern day parlance would call him a terrorist, but
yeah,
that word gets flung around way too much. Anyway, over the weekend we had the questionable joy of sitting down to watch the new Monster Hunter film, or the Monster Hunter film. I don't know if it's relatively new or not.
Can I just call it the Roly Poly film?
The Roly Poly film. And it's certainly interesting to watch if anyone hasn't seen it. We won't spoil anything about the story, only that it's
unique.
It's certainly something. That's what I think. That's going to be what.
All I'm going to say is, for about an hour of the R40 runtime, you're going to watch 2 people roll around a lot.
Yes, there is a lot of rolling around in the movie.
You would have thought it was the Dark Souls movie.
No. Because in Dark Souls you actually accomplish something.
So, but the question, or the discussion here, is that there have been many attempts over the years to translate video games into movies. The appalling Mario film, the cheesy Resident Evil movies. Apparently there was a Far Cry movie as well. Apparently. There is one. I've never heard of it, never seen it. And this brings... they are apparently getting better. I know they've done a Tomb Raider one based on the newest games. Now, I would argue then that's not really Tomb Raider games, but whatever. So, why do we think video games don't necessarily translate very well to movies?
I'm going to give an answer in my most cold and analytic way possible. Mechanics. The mechanics of a video game do not inherently make them good for viewing on TV.
Can you give an example?
Well, I need to choose an example which isn't the Monster Hunter film.
Come on, remember your history, education, point, evidence, explanation.
Point is that mechanics do not make sense. Evidence is... Well, my evidence and explanation have to tie in together, actually.
That's the best way of doing it.
Because, think about how you play Mario. The entire point is to go through levels in a linear progression, which generally get harder as they go up, dodging obstacles, and it's basically a platformer. The same mechanics that make that will not be interesting for someone to watch. It's like watching parkour, but fake.
Yes, mechanics I think are a big problem.
I think the only games that would work is like FPSs, but even then, that doesn't always work.
Doom.
I haven't watched the Doom film.
Doom movie.
I have not watched it.
That is an acid trip of a movie. The only section that's worth watching though is like the 2-minute section towards the end where it switches to a first person.
That's so good. I love that bit.
It's such a good. I feel like the whole movie should have been like that.
The whole movie felt more like a cliche horror film, and then by the end, it's like, this is what I thought this film would be like.
But isn't Doom like in itself a bit of an acid trip?
Yes, that's true. That gets away from the topic.
I mean, that's very representative of the game itself.
What about you, Vice? Why do you think video game movies don't necessarily
I think
work?
your question is a bit too strict. It's like, do you think video game movies work? I give my answer of, I don't think they work as mechanics.
I think the thing that comes to my mind is how strict and serious the people who make the film takes from what they do from the game. How strict they are with things like the story, as you said, Dane, the mechanics, the things like, because when you make a film from a game, I imagine they're like, okay, what do we choose from the game that people can be like, oh, this is from the game, and it feels like sometimes they pick the wrong things, or sometimes they pick the right things and they do a good job.
Sorry, I just did a gesture device about a reference in Monster Hunter World film, which is very iconic to a lot of the people who play it. Especially the people who used a DB.
I actually want to bring up in my opinion, a good example of a game to film. And not one of the new ones like the Sonic or Detective Pikachu ones. I want to bring up Dead or Alive.
I love the way we now have 3 different versions of reaction here. Vice, who's completely serious, Fletcher, who's laughing, and me, who's just utterly confused.
You mean that beat 'em up one that we sat through?
Yeah.
5 seconds.
It was appalling.
So I really enjoyed it because the games are so edgy and dark. It's like one character killed the mother of another character. The other characters are like at war and trying to kill each other. Everything is like really edgy and dark and serious, and there's many games with all these stories have developed over. The Dead or Alive movie is just like its own thing. It's cheesy. It's it feels like they decided not to take everything way too seriously and dark, and just made a cheesy, good standalone little film featuring the Dead or Alive characters in a fighter-esque sort of show.
It's cheesy. It's cheesy with a capital E, damn.
But that's good.
Oh god.
That was a bad pun.
It's almost as bad as that movie. See,
I'm still confused.
I liked Detective Pikachu and Sonic because they felt like good films. They were maybe a bit predictable and a little tongue-in-cheek in places, but they weren't cheesy like the Resident Evils or the Dead or Alive film or the Mortal Kombat film.
You say cheesy like it's a bad thing.
I think cheesy can... It's not all...
I feel really bad because it's a conversation I can't really weigh into. I haven't watched many films.
Sometimes cheesy movies can be good, but I also think that risks making... See, I like Sonic and Detective Pikachu because they're video game movies, but you can watch them and critique them and they're good as movies.
While the Monster Hunter World movie, you needed a bit of knowledge.
At the same time, they don't take the mickey out of the video game that they're based on. I think there's a danger that if you make a video game movie and it's really cheesy, then that kind of lowers the
value of the franchise?
Value of the video game.
I mean...
Because then you're just making it as no video game can be seriously made into a movie because all video games are just cheesy and...
I can actually bring up a very good point to this, and we've mentioned it already. Monster Hunter. Every single one of their games on Steam got review bombed.
Yes. Because
of this movie.
Yes. Now that's a childish response to a movie.
Apparently there was also a racial stereotype in it somewhere.
See, now I was looking for that racial stereotype. I couldn't see it.
I think it was the shrine-ish kind of scene.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she kind of did the same.
We can't really say much about the movie because spoilers, but
Yeah. I wouldn't classify that as a racial stereotype.
we don't really know. We'd have to look online.
See, my counterpoint to the whole the cheesiness aspect is that I've seen, and I'll use this one as my example because regarding Dead or Alive, another fighting game tie-in movie thing was the Tekken film, or the live-action one.
There was a Tekken film?
There's many.
There's been a few.
There's a series of Tekken films?
Yes.
And that would be... I think this is the first live-action one anyway. I remember watching it, and it was so... It was intense in a not exciting way. It was very... How do I describe it?
Loose?
It was just way too predictable. It just felt very simple, like... It was just... I don't want to say too much because of spoilers. I can't remember when it came out. It was a bit ago now. But
I think you're fine then.
It's just... It just felt... It didn't feel fun. It didn't feel fun to watch. It was just like, oh, they're doing that now. Oh, they're doing that now. Oh, they're probably going to fight now because, it's tech. Yep, they're fighting. Yep, okay. Whereas the Dead or Alive film was like... Everyone had a bit more character because of the, like, sort of cheesy personalities.
Wasn't Ron Perlman in that one as well?
I'm not sure.
Wasn't he the big bad guy?
I don't think so. Although you have just reminded me, because you brought up Resident Evil and the Monster Hunter, a thing I did like about both films was Mila Jovovich.
Yes. She's...
I like her.
Although it was weird seeing her without a motorbike in Monster Hunter.
Well, she did have some kind of automobile.
Yes. Roly-poly. But, she's good. I think she's one of those female actors that I think perhaps needs a bit more respect. Although I would say I think Ridley Scott handles alien life forms better. Not Ridley Scott. That's the person who directed the film. Fudge.
Mila Jovovich?
No, who am I on about?
I don't know.
The Alien Woman. I've
Alien
forgotten her name as
Woman.
well for some reason.
Oh my god, I've forgotten the name of Alien Woman. They're gonna kill us.
I know. I can think of films it's like she was in Paul.
That's David Attenborough.
We'll cut this.
That was it, David Attenborough.
David
Right.
Attenborough knows how to handle aliens better.
Here we
than-
see the Xenomorph.
Here we see the Xenomorph in its natural habitat, the human body.
Wait, you two have phones, look it up.
It should be in a.
This is my favourite part of the podcast.
This will be everyone's favourite part of the podcast. The Triclaw team not being able to remember the name of the main character in any of the Alien movies.
I have an excuse. I've never watched the Alien movies.
Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver!
Why did you just remember that?
Because I just googled it.
I hate you.
There we go. Sigourney Weaver, yes. She's a better alien handler than
There
Mila
Thingamajig.
Jovovich.
That's the one.
There is one game that you guys are forgetting.
That was turned into a movie.
Successfully.
Successfully.
Many times.
Go on.
Pokemon. The game came first officially. Then the series came out. Then the movies came out.
Oh, you mean the animated
Are we-
ones?
That's a good point. I think for some reason I just imagined like the live action ones.
No. Cartoon movies are also acceptable in this situation.
That is true. And I feel like the latest ones are really, really good, but they're like a rebranding of...
Yeah, Pokemon
Main
Movie
character.
2000 was very fun. I liked it.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I'm sorry, you're listening to old people talk about old movies and old games.
We could be here for hours talking about each and every Pokemon movie. There's like enough to be a whole series now.
Yeah.
See, getting back to the question of, I don't think they work often very well. Mostly because the games with the best stories that would translate well to the big screen, the character is being played by you and they don't generally have a voice. The character is whoever you want them to be. So Half-Life has a great story, but who are you going to portray as Gordon? Who's going to be Gordon Freeman in a Half-Life movie? Because he never talks, and we never see his face. Yes, we have seen what Valve and stuff put him as this bearded fellow with the green eyes and glasses, but technically we never see his face, and we don't ever hear his voice. We don't know what build he is or anything.
However, Monster Hunter World did give the person who is the player character, cough, cough, cough. We all know who it is if you've played Monster Hunter World. They give him a voice.
I think another thing is, I think it might just be the games you've been playing, Fletcher, because most of the games I play, the main character does have a voice and has their own story.
Yuden?
Okay, some of the better story-driven games, like the Fallout games, Skyrim, Half-Life.
I don't think the games I've played are worse story-driven games.
I was going to say the entire silent protagonist game genre is a massive genre in itself. You realise that that's just mostly because people just couldn't be bothered to get a voice actor for something that's meant to represent a character who could be male, female, or androgynous.
My point was, I think a lot of games, they're directly driven by the actions of the player.
Yes.
Which makes it difficult to do a movie on, because players would choose different actions.
Wasn't there once a spoop, or basically a joke, about Guild Wars 2 getting a movie?
Potentially. They've done a lot of April Fool's things. They love their April Fools.
Yeah. Guild Wars 2 is one of the ones which actually gives your player a voice. A very, very nice voice actor, may I just say. For all different races and all different genders. And, yeah, they give you a voice. You still pick a lot of options, but it was a joke, but it would have been very cool if they did.
I think, actually, continuing from Fletcher's point, something that I'd agree with is, in games, there's hours upon hours of content. There's a lot that you can dive into.
I may have 666 hours in Monster Hunter World.
In a film, it's just like an hour and a half. Like, it's a rush to do it. It's my opinion of it is very similar to turning a whole series into a single film, like a certain Avatar series. But we're not going to get into that.
I have no idea what you're talking about, he says, knowing exactly what you're talking about.
I fear we're leaning towards talking more about movies than video games. But
Yes,
no,
we
I
are
get
a
what you
gaming
mean.
channel.
It's like, if you did a Skyrim game, a Skyrim movie, are you going to focus on the Dragonborn bit, or are you going to focus on the Civil War bit, or are you going to focus on the Dark Brotherhood?
you're gonna focus on the politics, of course.
Careful, Star Wars did that and no one liked it until Disney showed them what they really don't like, and now they like them all again.
Well, microtransactions? Again, guys, EA has done nothing wrong.
Well, actually, let's segue onto that, because that's still the big thing at the moment.
Well,
is
microtransactions and pay to win?
Microtransactions, pay to win, pay to play, loot boxes, everything else.
Cosmetics.
See,
Cosmetics.
if you didn't say pay to play, we could have avoided the very hot topic at the moment, but you did.
What's the hot topic?
Blizzard.
Blizzard is in trouble.
Blizzard's in a lot of trouble.
I'm actually out of the loop here, so I might not have a big opinion on this.
So, a lot of people from World of Warcraft have now left World of Warcraft because of the negligent business practices of people in Blizzard.
And Activision Blizzard is going down the toilet because of the lawsuit that they've got.
We're not going to go into the details because I don't think we have enough time to.
Yeah, and the details are available everywhere else.
But the entire player base of World of Warcraft has now switched to playing another MMO.
There's a few good ones.
Do you want to know the one they appreciate more, though? Final Fantasy XIV Online.
Oh, there's going to be one of the odd new ones, like New World or something.
A lot of them have also been coming to Guild Wars 2.
World of Tanks. It was World of Tanks' pay to play and pay to win elements.
If you have a pay to play, how can you have a pay to win?
So there were multiple ways. World of Tanks, you had obviously pay to win elements in the form of you had, at the time, ammunition that you could buy with real money that gave you more damage and more penetration on the target.
That's just pay to win.
Yeah. You also had, you could buy particular vehicles which tended to be overpowered with real money. But then, the easiest way to grind the tree was to also pay real money to speed up the grind, because the grind itself was absolutely horrible.
That's all just pay to win.
No, that's paying to play as well. Because to grind your way up to the vehicles you want to use, just paying real money was often less horrible than grinding some of these vehicles.
Yeah, but in aspect of how pay to win and pay to play are separated, what you're describing is pay to win.
Well, no.
Yeah, the definition often used by pay to play is subscription model.
Like,
if you can play, but you're just going to die every single time.
It's been
that's still
some other video game people like Jim Sterling and and Yahtzee have expanded it to games where they just fuck you around so much that they kind of push you towards just paying to speed up the grind or paying to solve a problem they've put in.
I don't
like Fallout
see
76
that.
has done the same thing.
I don't see that as a pay to play. I say that as a pay to win.
Well, taking whatever regards into account,
I have a lot of patience for those kind of things.
Pay to win mechanics or paying money to solve a problem the game developer has put in there deliberately to make you pay for it, they're still both terrible tactics.
We could talk about the revolutionary game Battlefield 2 released by EA, who have done absolutely nothing wrong.
The thing is, Star Wars Battlefront 2 only brought the problem to the forefront. The problem had already been there.
We had the issue with Overwatch, another Blizzard game, which relied heavily on loot boxes, which they then had to remove it.
Star Trek Online releases a new type of loot box every few months.
So did Overwatch.
It is terrible monetization practice. Can we think of any monetization? Because it's a big thing at the moment, is how to do monetization in video games right. Like, is there a way of doing monetization in a video game that isn't inherently slimy?
Yes.
Go on.
So, the first word I'll say, or first two words I'll say, you'll have to bear with me. Loot boxes.
Okay.
When they're used for things that don't impact the game in a way that will be detrimental to others or better for yourself.
So cosmetic loot boxes.
Exactly.
But then that's the issue which Blizzard ran into with Overwatch. They only have cosmetic loot boxes.
And I don't see a problem with that.
It was seen as gambling, so they had to remove them.
See, if it was try and gamble to get better stuff that you can beat other players with in particular multiplayer games, that's when it's a bit bad, because you're gambling to have better stuff than other people, and some people might get lucky and some people might have to pay tons of money just to keep up with the crowd.
Look at me with Genshin Impact. I have the stupidest amount of luck with that game, because anytime I want a character I usually get them. I don't pay stuff.
That's not like a PvP game, so that's fine.
See, the cosmetic side of things, though, does have its own problems. There are reports of school kids being bullied at school because their Fortnite character is not in a particular cosmetic. If you back to the subject at hand, so cosmetic-only monetization you think is fair?
I think that's good.
I think that's good.
I'm going to say a reason why some people figure that out, and I'm actually the main cause of these people. I have one of their main causes. Some skins are more difficult to see than others. For example, one of Widowmaker's skins in game was a black suit, and her skin is dark purple. In dark maps like London at night, those are very difficult to see if you have any kind of visual acuity issues or colour blindness.
That is understandable. That is a good point.
I think accessibility in video games is something we could talk about next time.
Yes, I feel like you guys are going to be sitting me in front of a lot of games in the next month. For reference, I'm red-green colourblind and have very short-sightedness, so I'm very bad when it comes to seeing things in video games.
So, one game that I think did its monetization right was Jurassic World Evolution.
Couldn't seem to be said for Project Tycoon? No, Zoo Tycoon.
No. Well, I haven't played that, but Jurassic World Evolution did its monetization correctly. Yes, there was a lot of DLC you could download for it, but I think all of the DLC is pretty much worth it. The dinosaur packs that they released were well priced. It was I think it was like $5.99 per pack, and you got 3 new creatures. Now, some companies like EA would probably charge you $5.99 for a creature. Like, look at Train Simulator. What is it? It's like over a tenner for one train. It's ridiculous. And the big DLCs where they gave you more maps and more dinosaurs and more buildings and structures and campaign missions, they were reasonably priced as well. Like, even the most expensive one, which was Return to Jurassic Park, was I think $15.99 on release, and the other 2 they released first were $12.99. They were decently priced and they contained a lot of relevant content. And I'm hoping for Jurassic World Evolution 2 they continue with that same sort of model. They used to be called expansion packs when I was a kid. And you got basically another whole third of a game with more stuff to play around with. I think big proper DLCs and things like that are reasonably good ways of monetization. And I also don't understand how these game companies can justify it. Where's EA's justification for turning pretty much every single video game now that they release into a gambling mechanic infested mess? What's the justification? Oh, we video games are massively expensive to make now. I don't really believe that. I don't think that video games are expensive to make now. I think video games are expensive to market now. And I think if you look at a lot of these video games that have been released over the last 5 or 6 years, and you look at how much money they spend on marketing, that seems to be where the majority of the money goes.
As somebody who has had a hand in game development, there is a bit of a price when it comes to certain things, like making assets. Because you got to pay people to make things, you got to pay people to code things. So I can understand there is quite a bit of expenses there. But I do agree with you in regards to like expansion packs and whatnot. Like, I'm one of those people who I do try to look at it on the side of the devs when it comes to money, because it's a job and you should be paid for your work. There is a degree of how much are you getting for the price though. So as you said, when those expansion packs or like DLC are correctly priced, I feel like that's doing it well. Then you do get the ones where it's like you get one thing but it costs a lot of money and it's like or when a game comes out and it feels really incomplete and then DLC packs begin to complete it and it's like,
see, that's EA all over.
Yeah, it just feels a bit like...
I was going to say, Vice, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned a certain game here. A certain game known for bringing out expansions and new story for a very affordable price. We've talked about it quite a bit already.
I had a tea, not a coffee, so my brain's not in the right place.
Sacrilege. Guild Wars 2.
But those are like big expansions.
Yes, they're worth the price. That is it done right. That's one of the things I thought you were going to mention to Fletcher, but...
Sorry, I thought he was referring to...
Not the badness, no.
Okay.
I realise this sounds like I'm doting on Guild Wars 2 here.
Yeah, you have been doting on it all this podcast.
I mean, I haven't. I've just been poking Vice because he...
Are we allowed to call this a podcast? Does a podcast have to be a specific thing? Or can we just call it a podcast?
This technically is a podcast.
I mean, people are going to be listening to it.
That's true. One hopes.
I mean, foremost and formally, this is a podcast. It could also be a video. It can technically be everything. We're not. The only thing I'd say is we're not doing this live, so it's not a reactionary thing.
True. But if people like this format, we can do live stuff.
Oh Lord. I won't have any like bone cracking breaks then.
Some live stuff could be good because there could be like a Q&A as well.
That's true.
Hey guys, when do you want that?
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think down below. And let us also know in the comments down below any games you think did their monetization particularly poor, Fallout 76, and any games that did their monetization potentially rather well.
Like Guild Wars 2.
Or Jurassic World Evolution.
I actually, maybe it's because I'm coming in from it quite late, I've not had any troubles with monetization in Fallout 76 yet. Did they release all the DLC? Oh no, all the DLCs have been free.
They got reprimanded by companies.
I mean, the big ones have been things that have been going on in their shop, such as when they released
the power armor.
They said they wouldn't release stuff that's pay to win, and then they started releasing like repair kits, which are literally repairful.
And then there was clothing, which gave you a boost to certain stats, and if you did it with other people, it would give it to them as well, and then double it if you all had separate clothing.
I completely forgot there was a shop. Yeah, you're right.
The Christmas emote bundle, which they put on the shop to begin with at an apparently discounted price, but it was not discounted. That was faked.
That sounds pretty scummy.
That's not scummy. That's literally illegal. It's called false advertising, and they got told off for that.
So they should.
I'll tell you a game which has really bad monetization issues. Genshin Impact.
Really?
Yes. A pull in Genshin Impact is 160 Primogems. Now, you can buy premium currency, but I need to quickly look it up here. It has a 1-to-1 conversion rate with the premium currency. And to buy the premium currency, you get 60 gems for $1. You get 300 for $5, which is one pull, remember. Their biggest package, which is 6,480 gems, is $100. Now, people look at that and think 6,480 gems, that's amazing. But 6,480 is actually only 40 pulls, which isn't even there. You're guaranteed to get something. You get 40.5 pulls for spending $100, and you're not even guaranteed to get a 5-star character from that. You're not even halfway to it.
See, Star Trek Online had that problem, where you're going to open like 100 loot boxes, and the chance of you getting the ship out of the loot box was like 0.0001%. It was something ridiculous like that.
Did it have a pity system, though?
No.
Genshin at least has a pity system, so if you don't get any 5 stars in 90 pulls, you're guaranteed to get a 5-star. And it could be the displayed banner character, but it's a 50-50 chance after that point.
See, Guild Wars 2 has something somewhat similar to Star Trek Online, where they've got like a little...
Oh, the Black Lion
yeah.
chests. Yeah.
And they recently, well not recently, it was like a couple of years ago now, added a thing where you get like little statuettes, imagine them as like a currency, and like the more you get, the better reward you can just straight up just get from the chest. So you can just choose to get something if you open enough and you don't get what you want, which is I think a good method of like reducing the gamble.
See, Star Trek Online made it worse. There's a currency inside the loot boxes that you can only get from opening loot boxes that you can use to go into another shop and buy more stuff with.
Oh lord.
Is that actual stuff you can just get, or just buy more loot boxes with?
No, it's actual stuff you can get, but you have to open the loot boxes first. And you sort of need in the region of like 300 to 900 of these low-buy crystals, they're called. And you only get between, like, I think it's like 110 per box.
Do you at least get, oh, that's a big, that requires a lot then. Because I was going to say, Guild Wars 2, you get these from opening the boxes as well, but you get like 2 to 3, and you need like 50 or 60 for like the big things.
No, like the big things, it can be like 900 low-buy crystals needed. And it'll be like, that's a lot of loot boxes you have to open.
Can you open the loot boxes for free, like by doing certain things?
No. Well, to open the loot boxes, you need to get keys. To get keys, you have to buy the keys off of their shop for their premium currency, Zen. You can earn Zen by turning dilithium into Zen, but the exchange rate has been... Well, the exchange rate was going up the entire time.
Is it community-based?
Yes.
Right. Guild Wars 2 has the same thing.
The exchange rate, when I was playing, it was about 150 dilithium to a Zen. The last time I checked, it was well over the 250 mark.
Oh wait, 150 to a single Zen?
Yes.
Oh, we can buy like what? 40? 400.
And it gets better. You can only refine 8,000 dilithium a day.
What?
So you can't earn or refine more dilithium than that unless you have a premium account.
See, the good thing about Guild Wars 2 is that whenever you 100% a map, you get a reward, and 25% is a key.
So, we're talking about Guild Wars 2 here. Are you well, I know Fletcher isn't, because he has played Guild Wars, but he hasn't done this far in. Are you well known with the concept of ecto-gambling?
I am. I've not really done it much, though.
I am really bad at I am really, really bad for ecto-gambling, or gambling of any kind in games. Except the difference is I get payouts. I was playing with our friends the other day, and I did one thing, and it's like, oh, I got these 5 things. Each one of them gave me what was called 50 ecto each, and I got 5 of them, so I got 250 ecto. Now, on the community market, an Ecto goes for 242 silver. Sorry, 202 gold and 42 silver. I may have become slightly rich. But it's a concept of it is gambling, but it isn't, because it's all stuff that you get in-game anyway. And there's also another added thing to it as well. In Guild Wars, you can transfer premium currency into gold.
And vice versa.
At the current market exchange rate. So the last time I was looking at buying crystals with my gold, it was 145 gold goes to 400 crystals. Which means the other way is also true. 400 crystals gets you 145 gold. That's enough starting capital to do a lot of active gambling. Potentially you could just pay straight in to do active gambling.
Brilliant.
Sorry, this was coming back to the...
Stop talking about Guild Wars 2. In fact,
I'm sorry!
I'm going to suggest we end it here, because we've been going on for over an hour now. But I think we should end on a question for the audience, ready for next time. And that will be, what do you think is the best Team Fortress 2 character?
Oh boy.
So, answers in the comments, folks. Who do you think is the best Team Fortress 2 character and why? We might read out a few of them when we do our next podcast.
Will we reveal our favourites?
And we will reveal our favourites in the next episode as well. But for now, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me, Vice.
And see you later from me.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye!